Israel, if you do breach this covenant, you will lay yourself open to this whole series of covenantal curses. And if you ever want to have, the basis for a horror film, just read the covenantal curses listed in Deuteronomy 28, for instance, and Leviticus 26. And they're they read like a history of Israel, because Israel, in fact, did breach the covenant many times, right? Famine, plague, bondage, war, descent, you name it. These are the covenantal curses that Israel called upon itself through its manifest disobedience to and breach of the covenant. Now, the covenant that is cut on Sinai differs from those of Noah and Abraham, because here at last the people need to perform an action of their own in order to abide by its terms, right? The other covenants were unconditional. This one is also a transitory covenant. It's a temporary covenant. This is not a covenant that's meant to last beyond the arrival of the Messiah. It points to the Messiah, but it is a temporary or transitory covenant in place only until the Messiah comes. So no longer is God alone the performer of all the actions. Now the people too must perform and risk breach through their actions. In this unprecedented action, God binds himself to his people through this covenant, subjecting himself to the covenantal curses should he breach the agreement. This will change the people of God forever. Now let's see if I can set this up before we go to break, before we end this section. What's the setup? You all need to read this in Exodus 19 and 20. The setup is the people of God have just been delivered for 430 years of bondage in Egypt. God has just parted the Red Sea for them. They have just come through untold hardships. They and all their livestock and all their friends and all their families, the whole people of Israel is at the foot of Mount Sinai. Moses has gone up the mountain. There's thunder and lightning and a great cloud, and the people are scared. And he's come up to receive the tablets of the law. And there's this covenant when he comes down, and what happens? A certain requisite number of bulls, all these altars are set up, and there's a blood sacrifice to seal the covenant. And the blood of these sacrifices is sprinkled on the two parties. It's kind of the same thing as cutting the covenant before, where the two parties would walk between the sacrificed animals. In this case, the blood of the sacrifice is sprinkled on the altar, meaning what? The blood of the sacrifice is sprinkled on God as a covenant partner, and then the other rest of the blood is sprinkled on who? It's on the people. Imagine this scene. All these people and the priests are there at the foot of the mountain sprinkling the people with the blood. And what are the people saying? Yes, we agree. This is perfect. We will be faithful. We will do what all the Lord says. And if we don't, the blood on our heads, the blood be on our heads. Covenantal curses. They lay themselves open to that, right? And what happens right after this whole majestic covenant happens? The covenant isn't even 3 months old, and what happens? Moses goes up the mountain to receive the law, and the people down there are doing what? Aaron, his older brother, is down there with them. And when Moses comes down and breaks the first set of tablets of the law, saying, what are you all doing? Didn't we just have this majestic covenant? Don't we have the Lord of the universe on our side? Hasn't he formed us into a nation? Hasn't he given us all this awesome stuff? And all you ought to do was be faithful. All you had to do was be faithful. And so they can't even stand it because he's been gone for a long time, and there's all that stuff going on up there. And what if he's dead? And what if God has abandoned us? Quick, Aaron, here are all our gold jewelry. Let's melt it and form a golden calf, which is what? You can take the people out of Egypt, but you can't take Egypt out of the people. Because who's the golden calf? It's the bull Apis, probably, right? One of the deities worshipped in Egypt, right? So, and so Moses says, what happened? And Aaron says, I don't know, all this jewelry kind of went in the fire, and all this golden calf kind of popped up. I'm not sure what happened, Moses. So what does he do? He passes the buck. So isn't that typical, right? But my point is what? They breached the covenant when the covenant wasn't even, half a year old. I mean, really? But that's, I suppose, the essence of human nature, and it's like God allows for it because there is salvation coming. But that even more is another nail in the covenantal curse coffin that one of the parties to this covenant is going to have to atone for. So we are heading full steam ahead for the necessity of the incarnation. When people tell you, why did God have to become a man? Are you sure Jesus was a real man? You know, you have all those various, even modern heresies. Why couldn't he have just been a good teacher? Oh, what if he was just a good guy in the wrong place at the wrong time? Wrong. If you read it in the light of the Old Testament, in the light of the covenant, in the light of what needed to happen, you can see that Jesus had to be completely man. Completely God and completely man. That is the mystery of the hypostatic union.